Spencer West is a mountaineer, and like many other mountaineers, he challenges himself. In 2012, he was one of the 50% of mountaineers who successfully made a summit of Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. And Spencer had all the equipment that you would expect an experienced mountaineer to have. He had the tents and the bivouacs. He had all the waterproofs. He had excellent guides. The only thing he didn't have was any legs. Spencer West was the first human being to ascend a major peak on his hands. You asked Tom about inspiring people. That's an inspiring person. Effort, diligence, commitment, resilience, determination are all qualities that young gentleman showed. Mr. Toastmaster, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and lots of lovely welcome guests. When people like Spencer West and Nick Vujicic and Anthony Robbins and others achieve great things, they become motivational speakers. They write motivational books, and they give us some messages. And I would suggest that they give us these 3 messages. They tell us, I did it, so you can do it. They tell us, never, ever, ever give up on your dreams. And they tell us to learn from your mistakes. But I'm a bit challenged. I'm a bit challenged that they tell us what to do, but they don't tell us how to do it. And sometimes we're a bit in the dark. Who here has had the experience of listening to a motivational speaker, reading a book and thinking, yeah, that's great, but I don't really know what my next steps are? Yeah. Kevin said we had to look around to find the right one who has the right nuggets. So, those of you who put your hands up, the next 20 minutes are for you. Those of you who didn't put your hands up, please have some nice happy thoughts in the next 20 minutes. So, how do we do these things? How do we become the person who overcomes our obstacles, who challenges ourselves, who really pushes and motivates ourselves? Well, I think the answer is in research. I think the answer is in evidence, and I think the answer is in science. It's not sexy, but it did make Ashley, doctor, look up. So, I'm going to use a phrase that I'm going to use a lot in the next 15 minutes, and that phrase is core attributes. What's a core attribute? Nothing to do with apples, nothing to do with pretty girls and boys. A core attribute is a way that we describe ourselves. You're a bit clever, I'm a bit stupid. You are very resilient, I give up easily. You've got loads of willpower, I've got none. And on and on and on. These are ways we describe ourselves. And traditionally, we think of themselves, those things have been quite fixed. We do the personality test. You're an A, B, C. You're this profile. You're that type of person. Science and the evidence and the research says that that ain't true. Core attributes can be changed. Core attributes can be changed. I don't mind repeating myself. So, some science about it. First bit of science involves taxi drivers. London cabbies. They're renowned for 2 things. Slightly dodgy politics, and the ability to remember a great deal of information about the London streets. 4-year study. 4 years to learn 25,000 routes. So, some scientists have taken a bunch of cabbies, hopefully separately, and put them through the MRI machine, and they've discovered something. They've discovered that taxi drivers' hippocampus, the part of the brain that is worth for your memory, is 25% bigger than the average. So they've grown their memories. When you get in a taxi, you will know that his is bigger than yours. And that may or may not reassure you. Second bit of evidence comes from the University of Michigan. A couple of Swiss scientists discovered that our IQ, that thing, that bastion of what defines our intelligence, or at least it used to, can be changed with brain training in 19 days. You've got to spare 19 days. You could do it before the end of the month. Your IQ could be different by the time we hit the 1st of February. How would that be? And the third bit of evidence I want to present involves language learning. Who here thinks they weren't born with the language gene, the natural ability to learn a language very well? Yeah. And you probably weren't, because there isn't one, so that's fine. Benny Lewis wasn't born with a language gene either. And Benny, as a young man, tried to learn Spanish, failed miserably. He went to live in Spain at 21, tried to learn Spanish, failed appallingly. And then he came back to England. And he found a method, and found some motivation. And he started learning his Spanish. And then he started learning his French. And then he started learning his Arabic, and his Serbo-Croat, and his Portuguese with a Brazilian accent, and his Japanese and his Arabic. He has spearheaded a movement called the polyglot movement. Polyglots are either known as people who speak many languages or smart asses, which is what you want to look at. There's science, there's evidence. So what is it about those people, and others we could mention, who know, who understand, and who can change their core attributes, and those others who can't? Well, I put it down to two groups of people. Us and them. By them, I don't mean the guys out there. Them, what do they do? What they do is that they limit our potential. They tell us we can't. They're well-meaning, they're kind. They're the coach who says, I think you need to be in beginners, not in advanced. They're the teacher who says, I think you need to stand at the blue table because I think that work will be less challenging for you. They're the mate who says, don't ask that girl out, don't ask that boy out because you'd be well punching above your weight. They're the people who send that message that says, your potential is not what you think it is. And they use their expertise, they use their experience, they use their knowledge, and they limit our potential. Who here has had the experience of someone doing or saying something that limits their potential? And what would you like to say to them now? Kev, your hand went up really quick. What would you like to say to that person now? Keep it clean.
Well, you don't have to stick to a defined career from the get-go. You don't have to decide your career when you're 12 or 13 years old. You can actually change it a multitude of times and be wiser for it.
Flexibility is key. Gabe, what would you say?
Can I have a divorce, darling?
Thanks very much. Who else put up their hand up here? And Joanna, what would you say? Didn't put up your hand.
I was thinking of happy thoughts.
People limit our potential and we need to stop them. The great comedian said, when I wanted to be a comedian, my name is Bob Monkhouse, when I wanted to be a comedian, people laughed at me. Yeah. They're not laughing now. I can remember the moment when someone limited my potential. I was 16 years old, I was working as a junior waiter in a hotel. The head waiter said 3 words to me. He said, change ton métier. Change your career. Change ton métier. He wasn't French, so I don't know why he said it to me. Perhaps he thought the language of amour would soften. And I can still remember, 35 years later, it brings me out in goosebumps, just remembering those words. So that's them, those people busy limiting our potential. What about us? What do we do? Well, we do one of 3 things. We either believe what they say, we've crumbled in the face of challenge or obstacles. We don't believe that we can change our core attributes. And I suffered from all 3 of those, and I could name the day that I fell. Before I was 12, when I was in primary school, I loved my learning, I felt myself to be quite bright, I was a bit geeky. Lads challenged me to a fight once, I said no fight, but I'll take you on a maths test. So I probably deserved the beating I got. And then when I was 12 years old, I sat in a science lesson and I didn't understand the concept. I didn't understand the work, so I rewrote my script. I said, Charlie, you're not as clever as you thought you were. So instead of making achievement, learning and results my goal, I made being naughty, mucking around, being cool my goal. I left school with woefully poor O-level results. I went travelling. I went from town to town. I rode the railways. I bussed. I shone shoes. And I had to leave town every time I turned green because I got angry. Oh no, that's a different story. There's a different story. But it felt like that. It felt like that. I was a junior waiter working in hotels in the very university towns where my schoolmates were studying for their degrees because they hadn't given up where I had. And it took me 25 years to sort it out. 25 years of a mediocre career, of poor health, of a miserable, unhappy marriage. And there are some bad times too. So what sorted me out? What sorted me out when I hit 40? Research, evidence, science. All around the word potential and all around core attributes. And the research came from a psychologist called Carol Dweck. Who's heard of her? Some of you have, I know. Carol Dweck developed a theory, and she's the reason why David in his speech used the word mindset. And she's the reason why you hear the word mindset in the vernacular all the time these days. Carol Dweck came up with this theory about mindset. And what she worked out is there are two groups of people. The group of people who believe you can change your core attributes. You've got a growth mindset. You'll put yourself to challenging. You won't mind obstacles. You will make effort and you'll love a bit of feedback. People who don't believe you can change your core attributes. You're stuck. You've got the hand you were dealt when you were born. That's it. Effort is a waste of time. Challenging yourself is pointless. Feedback is insulting and failure is annihilation. Now we might ask ourselves, who are we? Have we got a fixed mindset? Have we got a growth mindset? We've probably got bits of each. We've probably got some things that we think, yeah, I can do that. I can challenge myself till the cows come home. And some things when we think, oh, I would rather stay at home under the duvet than have a go at that. We have different areas of each. What I see in this room, and what I've seen in the last 10 years, is loads of people with growth mindsets. People who are prepared to challenge themselves. We see Elizabeth, who challenges her physical health every time she comes into this room. She's a Toastmaster because she wants to keep mind, body and soul together. We see Doris, who told in a very moving speech about how she's interested in logic and process and thinking and doesn't like emotions much, and yet she's a coach where empathy is key and she coaches really well. We see Stephen, who's not here tonight, who is challenging himself to become one of the youngest JPs in the country, despite the disadvantage of being a really, really nice bloke. Please don't say that. So we see people challenging themselves. And this organisation is a growth mindset organisation par excellence, no doubt. Why? Because, as Patrick said, we give helpful feedback. Positive, constructive, and challenging. We push people on. And because every single person in this room is doing something that at some point in time thought, I'll never do. Who here, not guests, members, who here, as a Toastmaster, has done something that you thought, I'll never do that? Look at that. Look at those hands. Please, guests. Patrick's right, you should join at break time. That shows we're in here challenging ourselves. Absolutely challenging ourselves. That's the key. And we compare Toastmasters to the average university that says you can't come in because you don't meet the entry level. You haven't got that criteria. Rather than, I can see your potential. I can recognise your potential. I can unlock your potential. So how has having a growth mindset helped me? Well, in the last 10 years, I have managed to turn my career around. I have managed to punch above my weight in the person who I married. Am I right? Yeah, right. And I have managed to be able to support other people on their growth mindset journey. A couple of years ago, some of you will remember, in the President's Evening, I got my guitar out and sang a song. Many of you were lucky enough not to be there. But for those of you who were, do you remember the feedback that you were offered? Do you remember the feedback you offered, Anjana?
Yeah.
Would you like to share it?
No.
No, okay. Anjana said it was possibly the worst public performance she could ever see. Amanda said it started dreadfully and went downhill from there. But to be fair, that's possibly the best feedback I've ever had from Amanda. And Steve left the club saying, I didn't think you would have the guts to go on. And I was disappointed to see that you did. Now, it's one of my proudest moments. Why is it one of my proudest moments? Because I was prepared to do something that I'm pretty rubbish at. Not in that X factor, I'm completely oblivious to feedback, I think I'm brilliant, I don't care what Simon Cowell and the rest of the world says. But in that way that says, I'm prepared to have a go at what I'm a bit crap at and see if I can get a bit better. I'm prepared to do that. It's a proud moment. Less proud when someone put it on YouTube. So what are the benefits of working on your growth mindset and working on your potential? I see three, not surprisingly. Firstly, bounce back ability. The ability to go, I get knocked down, I get up again. I get knocked down, I get up again. I get knocked down and I get up again. Again and again and again. I don't mind. I don't mind failing. The playwright Samuel Beckett said, fail again, fail better. Bounce back ability. We've got it, haven't we? We've got it sometimes, when we can get it. Secondly, thoroughness. Many people in many activities prepare, and they prepare well, and they deliver well, but they don't do what Patrick is inciting us to do. They don't go and reflect afterwards. People who are thorough go and reflect afterwards. They take their videos from their speeches and go and watch them. Yes, people do go and watch those speeches from their videos. It is true. They discuss them with their mentors. They get feedback. They ask for feedback. They think about it. They try and do those things again. Thoroughness is important. And thirdly, they love the process more than the outcome. We all like the rewards. We all like the ribbons. We all like the cups. We all like the accolades. We all like the applause. But actually, if we love the process, if we were into our thing, we don't give a monkeys about those things. We don't even notice those things. Time flies by. It's called flow. It's called being in the flow state. Athletes have it. Creatives have it. Artists have it. But so do gardeners have it. So do musicians have it. So do bus drivers have it. If they have it. So my challenge to you is to think about your potential. People say that wise people know their limits. I say they're wrong. I say wise people push their limits. Wise people challenge their limits. Wise people ignore their limits. Obviously within the bounds of health and safety and so on. But wise people push themselves. So here are my 3 challenges to you. 1, do something outrageously growth mindset. Outrageously a stretch. I bet some of those 8 guests who are here tonight, this is an outrageous stretch. You are here, and it may have taken you weeks or months of courage to get in the room. I know that was true for plenty of other Toastmasters. Head teacher mate of mine, he gives all of his staff a day off once a year and £100 to do something, so long as it's a big stretch. How inspiring is that? It was more inspiring in year 2 because after year 1 he put in the caveat and make sure it's legal, and then it's all fine now. So do something outrageously growth mindset. Secondly, surround yourself with people who give you the right feedback. People who challenge you, people who push you, people who help you grow, people who don't soft soap you, and people who don't limit your potential. You know where to find them? In this room, in Toastmasters Club. That's it. And the third thing is know that you can learn from any motivational speaker, even if they're not telling you the how, even if they're giving you the soft soap, because you can think, I don't need to change my actions. What I need to do is change my beliefs and work on my beliefs, work on my mindset, work on my belief about my potential, work on my belief about my limits. It's not about a 3-step plan or a 4-step program or just do this. Work on our beliefs. And I'm going to finish with a story about someone who worked on their beliefs. This is someone I know, 25-year-old woman. I met her when she was 11 at the school that I was working at. Her dad had died. Her mum couldn't look after her. She said, I don't love you, I don't like you very much, I can't cope. Mum was depressed. She went, Tracy Deacon style, into care. She wasn't happy in care, and she wasn't happy in school. Her teachers weren't happy with her. No one really supported her. And she found school incredibly challenging. By the skin of her teeth, she didn't get kicked out. Skin of her teeth. She struggled as a 16-year-old. She struggled as a 21-year-old. But slowly, she started to turn things around. And I'll leave the interim rags to riches story to her and her TED talk, her motivational speech. But I can give you the update. And the update is that she, last week, announced that not only has she become a successful secondary school qualified teacher, but she was also voted outstanding teacher in her local authority. She was prepared to challenge herself. She was prepared to push herself. She was prepared to refuse to hear the limitations set on herself by others and by herself. She was prepared to. Are we, Mr. Toastmaster?